We are ready to tackle the front of our house, and we are going to do it ourselves. On one side, we will provide a cherry track to park our cars, and on the other side, we will create a walkway for guests that can also serve as parking. At the front door, we will finish it off with a beautiful flower box and stairs.
To begin, determine exactly where the driveway should be and what the dimensions are. In our case, that is already clear. During the construction of the house, a sub-foundation of broken rubble was already placed. The intention is to stay within those dimensions. To ensure that the base is stable, the layer of rubble was well compacted. Based on your paving, you then determine your construction. A driveway where cars will be parked should ideally have a sub-foundation of 15 centimeters. This is followed by a foundation layer, in our case of stabilized sand, of 15 centimeters. On top of that, there will be a street layer of 4 centimeters, in which we will place our concrete pavers. Before we can place the foundation, curbstones need to be installed first. These also need to be placed on a foundation. For this, we will have sufficient product delivered. We use lean concrete with a ratio of 1 part cement to 5 to 7 parts sand. If it is warm and dry outside, it is best to have a retarder added to your product. This way, the cement-based substance remains workable for a longer time. For larger areas where you need a lot of product, it is also best to schedule multiple deliveries. This way, you prevent your material from drying out before you can place it. So, think carefully in advance about how much you will need and when. The real work then starts with marking out the dimensions.
At the front door, we will create a step with steps and concrete tiles. As you can see, these concrete tiles are available in various designs. Additionally, we will also make a planter with wall stones, and we will glue them together.
First, you need to understand how your driveway is best constructed. We divide the slope of the driveway into 3 sections. After the step, there is a slope to the end of the house, so that it neatly connects with the rainwater drainage and the foundation of the house. Then we increase the gradient to align with the sidewalk. Stretch mason's line around concrete stakes to indicate the line and height where your curbstones should go. Make sure the line is tight and not sagging. You can easily secure the cord tightly around the stakes without making a knot. Wrap the rope around the iron twice and place the end of the rope under the turned part. The tension will secure the rope in place. Once you no longer need the mason's line and the marked measurements, you can roll up the string to use for the next batch, for future use. You can determine the height with a leveling hose, but a rotating construction laser is more convenient. With this, you first determine a reference point, the height where your paving will need to come. Here, it is 1 centimeter below the threshold of the front door. With this reference point, you can then set out the dimensions, reducing your measurement where necessary by the slope, or in our case also by the construction height of the stairs. To ensure proper drainage, there must be a minimum slope of 1 to 2%. Once your measurements are set, you can begin. We first remove the previous curbstones. We do this at the last moment to prevent the soil of the flower box from subsiding. First, check if you have enough space between your stretched string and the sub-foundation. Apply a layer of lean concrete along the entire length. Place each curbstone in the sand bed. Tap the curbstone each time so that the top is level with the mason's line. Use a rubber mallet here so you won't damage the curbstones when tapping them. The curbstones are equipped with tongue and groove, allowing you to place them easily and correctly against each other. Slide each subsequent curbstone over the previous one. Make sure that no concrete or rubble gets between the elements. That would prevent a good connection. To secure the edges, tamp them down. Spread lean concrete along the entire length and press it down well. The curbstones must be encapsulated for at least 1/3, but more is also acceptable. Make sure to leave space for your street layer and pavers. Smooth it out with a trowel or a float. If you spill some lean concrete, make sure to brush it off immediately before the mortar hardens on the curbstones. The last curbstone needs to be cut to size. Since this is not visible, you can use a grinder, or you can immediately choose a saw table with water cooling. You can rent it to get this job done. In any case, make sure you use the correct saw blade. Here, it is a diamond saw for concrete. Fill the container with water, and as soon as you start sawing, the water will be used to cool the saw blade. Measure exactly how long your curbstone needs to be. Mark it and place it on the saw table. Ensure proper protection and cut the curbstone to size. Now you can also place the last piece in the correct position and compact it.
To finish the side of the stairs nicely, we are going to place a flower box with building stones. This will really be an eye-catcher, especially because we are going to glue it and no joint will be visible.
First, determine again where you want to place the flower box and stretch cords to indicate this. Here too, ensure a good foundation in lean concrete. Prepare a foundation layer and level the surface to the correct height with a straight edge or a long spirit level.
We are going to glue the building blocks. The glue has a working time of 4 hours, so make sure not to prepare too much. If you spill, you can simply use water and a sponge to clean it up nicely within half an hour. If it rains, make sure to dam everything properly, of course. And then a final tip. The stone has a nice side. We will place that on the outside. You can see it by the line on the side. This way, you know which is the nice side. If it is not really clear, you can just take a bit of water and then the line will become visible.
Mix the glue with a hand mixer and follow the guidelines on the packaging. Add the right amount of water until the glue reaches the desired consistency. Put on a face mask so that the dust does not get into the airways during mixing. The flower box will be placed in a half-brick bond. Each time, one brick is cut in half to form a solid whole.
A small tip for attaching the flower boxes. We put the glue in a freezer bag. Then we actually make a piping bag like in the kitchen. It suffices to cut a small tip, and then you can apply just the right amount of glue to the stones.
Place the building blocks in their position and check each time if they are level. Use the rubber mallet to gently tap the concrete elements into the correct place. Also apply some glue to the sides of the stones. With the first 2 layers of the flower box placed, The adjoining row of curbstones can now be installed. That connects nicely to the flower box. The placement of the curbstones is done exactly as before. First, a rope is stretched as a guideline. Then the correct depth is determined, and some lean concrete is placed on the rubble. The curbstones will then be aligned neatly. They are tapped to the correct height with a rubber mallet. And then they are encapsulated in a layer of lean concrete. With the row placed, we continue with the building stones for the flower box. Regularly check with a level to ensure you are still working correctly. On the other side of the walkway, there is another flower bed. This will also be provided with curbstones. Lastly, we need to provide an edging for the cherry track.
To keep the pavers in place, we need a border. You can choose to secure them with a stabilizer, but we opt for a sturdier solution. We are going to place curbstones. The curbstones we are going to place here have a stable base, but they will be slanted on top so you can hardly see them. We will also place them 2 centimeters lower than the pavers, and then they will be completely invisible.
To determine the height of these curbstones, take the height of the curbstones that are already in place, and then place the mason's line 2 centimeters below that level. This way, you follow the same slope over the entire driveway. Proceed with these curbstones in the same way. Place a bed of lean concrete. Set the curbstone in the correct position, tap it with a rubber mallet, and then continue with lean concrete. Always check if the height still matches the predetermined level. Also, make sure that the cherry track is not stuck anywhere. At the back of the driveway lanes, we will extend the pavers. Therefore, we connect the 2 lanes with a curbstone placed at a right angle. To make the corner, the curbstones need to be cut at an angle. Set the saw table at a 45-degree angle and cut the curbstone to size. To look evenly aligned, the 2 rows of curbstones must always be equally spaced from each other and at the same distance from each other. Check this carefully each time. The slope of the drive lanes increases. To place the curbstones in the correct position, you need to saw a small angle off the bottom. This creates the possibility to place the curbstone in the correct position with the right slope. The flower box made of concrete building elements and the curbstones have been placed. Watch in part 2 how the steps and the pavers are placed and grouted in detail.